Hey, first grade. So this is our very first modules lesson. And if you guys remember, we wrapped up module 3, learning about birds' bodies and how they help a bird survive. And we're going to move in today to module 4. We're going to start off nice and slow as we start to get our remote learning routines down. So we're going to take a couple days to do a lesson or two, and then we'll start to get up to speed pretty quickly. So today our goal is to go over a letter from an ornithologist, and we're going to use that letter to talk about the meanings of different words based on the ending. So our target today is I can determine the meanings of words based on the ending. Okay, so before we went to break, we talked about how words can end in an ED or an ING. Words can end in a few different ways, but we're going to specifically focus today on words that end in ED and words that end in ING. And we're going to do that by reading a letter from an ornithologist. It says, "Dear students, I heard about your great work learning about birds. You have learned a lot about birds so far. I also like to learn about birds. That is why I became an ornithologist. In my work, we study how birds look, what they eat, and even how they act. Sometimes people ask me, why should we care about birds? I tell them there are many reasons to care about birds. One reason to care about birds is because sometimes birds get into trouble just like us. They need help. I challenge you to read some books and ask yourself, how do characters in stories help care for birds? Birds are so interesting. I often reread stories to make sure I learned everything. Please join me in sticking up for birds and becoming a bird advocate. Your friend, the ornithologist." So this letter is introducing us to Module 4, where we're going to talk a lot about characters in different stories that we read and how they help care for birds. Because eventually we want to answer this question, why should we care about birds? And what do people do to help birds? So today we're going to just use this letter to go over some word meanings, but the next couple days we're going to get into some stories where we can read about how characters in those stories help care for birds. So in our letter, we see this word learn come up a couple different times in a couple different ways. So I've highlighted it on my copy here. We see the word learning with that ING. We see the word learned with an ED ending, and we see learn. So learn is our base word. I'm going to use this to help us practice. So learn is our base word. When we add an ED to learn, we get the word learned. A word with an ED ending, if you guys remember, means it happened in the past. So I learned about birds' bodies in January. We learned about the sun, moon, and stars in November, right? When we see ED endings, it can be read a couple different ways, but the meaning stays the same. ED always means it happened in the past. So if we were to use this in a sentence, I would say something like, I learned about bullying, right? So we spent about a month going over what bullying meant in the past. We did that in the past. I learned ED about bullying. You still see my base word here, learn, and I've added the ED ending to tell my reader it happened in the past. Okay, let's look at the word learning. So I still have my base word, learn, and I've added the ING ending. When we read something with an ING ending, it means it's happening now. It's happening in the present time. So right now we are learning about word meanings. We are learning about how characters and stories help birds. It's happening right now. So if I was to use learning in a sentence, I would write, I am learning. So I have my base word learn and add ing about birds, right? ing means it's happening now. Ed means it happened in the past. So you always start with your base word, and then your endings that you add on change how we read your word and what the meaning of the word is. So ed means happens in the past. Ing means it's happening right now in the present. So your task, your assignment that you're going to upload to Dojo is to take the word watch. And I want you to write 3 sentences using watch, watched, and watching, just like we did with learn, okay? So you're going to add watch, you add an ed ending, watch, add an ing ending, okay? So your job is to write 3 sentences, one with the word watch, another one with the word watched, and another one with the word watching, just like I did with the word learn. Okay, so write it on a piece of scratch paper. You can type it into the Dojo box, whatever makes the most sense for you and your family. But I want to see 3 sentences, one with the word watch, one with watched, and one with watching. All right, first grade, once you get those done, upload those to your portfolio and I'll get you some feedback. See you soon.